So one of my subscribers asked me how did I create the propeller disc effect in sim template. So I'm going to show you how. Now this isn't one of my usual tutorials, so excuse me if it's not very good. First let's create a mesh. Okay, I'm gonna start with a cone, and now first thing I need to create some subdivisions on it. Okay, but before that even I'm going to remove the bottom face of the cone, and now I'm going to do some side view, and let's create some subdivisions like this. And now let's flatten the whole thing. So the height is 0, like this. Okay, so this is going to be our geometry. Now I'm going to also transform origin to geometry, so the center is actually in the middle. Okay, so I have everything centered. Let's save it, and now here comes the important bit. I'm going to Vertex Paint this whole thing. Excuse me. Here, and the black will be transparent and the white will be opaque, so the edges will fade into transparency. The middle will be also transparent, and I'm going to do something like this. Okay, and since we are going to spin this, I want it to slightly move, so let's, this is too much. Let's create some variations, maybe like this. Okay, let's not spend too much time on details. I am now going to export this into FBX. Let's just call it prop. And now in current version, nothing special needs to be done. I believe it used to be case to that you have to set something up that the Vertex colors get exported, but I don't think it's necessary in current version. So let's just export it, and let's go to Unreal Engine. So here I am in some completely random project. It doesn't really matter. I am just going to drop everything in here. So let's import the mesh. And here's one thing that you need to make sure is correctly set, and that is Vertex Color import options. And you can set it to either replace or override, but don't set it to ignore. And that's all that really needs to be set. Let's import it. And let's drop it somewhere on the scene so we can see what we are doing. Okay, it's gonna be vertical, whatever, doesn't really matter. And here comes the important bit. Let's create a material. Okay, let's call it, I don't know, drop matte, and let's set this mesh. Is this the mesh? Yeah. So let's set it to use this material. Okay, here we have it. Let's open the material. And now we are going to set blend mode to translucent. And now we're going to get the Vertex Color. And this is the Vertex Color of the mesh. So we can take any channel, really, because white is white on all channels, black is black on all channels, except the translucency. Okay, let's just use red and use that to control opacity. Let's compile this shader. And when we go back to the scene, you can see that now it has correct translucency, but it's all black. That's not exactly what we want. Okay, so here we are going to find settings for lighting. Here it is. Okay, let's change it to one of the other lighting modes. Let's use forward shading. This is highest quality. This is closest to actual regular opaque material shading, but it's slowest. Like maybe if your game needs higher performance, you can try one of the other modes, but it won't look as good. And after compiling, you can see that we already can see some reflections, and actually in here, well, it's not at the right angle, so you cannot really see them. So let's make it more shiny. I don't know. Let's add some constant color, like let's make it white, and more importantly, let's make it all metallic. That's more like it. Okay, now you can see it's no longer black, and if we put some light in here, it's gonna go all nice and shiny. So that's basically the whole trick. Or actually, no, it's not the whole trick. You need to do two more things. First of all, you want it to be visible for both sides. So here you just turn on two-sided, and now it is visible from both sides. The second trick, and this isn't always necessary, this is something I do because in the actual sim template, not in this project, so we won't see the difference, but in sim template you have clouds done as transparent materials, and to save performance I'm rendering those at lower resolution, but I don't want this actual prop disk to get all blocky. So what needs to be done is to deactivate separate transparency. It's somewhere here. Give me a second. Oh, here it is. So you need to expand translucency, and here you can disable it, and Another thing you can turn on is a responsive AA. This only matters if you're using TXAA as your anti-aliasing method, and this will actually reduce the amount of temporal smoothing applied to this particular object, so it will update faster. Actually, I do have a way to show this. So let's turn it back on. Let's recompile it. And look what happens now if I turn down our separate translucency screen percentage. Okay, let's turn it down to, let's say, 10. And as you can see, this got all blocky and unstable. So this is what disabling separate transparency does. So when you turn it off, it's no longer affected by this subsampling, and it's always sharp. And just as a bonus, actually, I'm using the same method to create the Afterburner Flame in my jet demo. Yeah, it's very similar, with the difference that I'm using, instead of default lighting, I'm using unlit. Yeah, and instead of translucence, additive. And now you just plug Vertex Color into emissive color, and it's all glowy. You can, of course, multiply this by some other color. If you want to be like flame colored, I don't know, is this good? Yeah. And here you have it. Okay, that's all.